Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about gender and sex within the music industry. I decided on this topic because I think that it's a huge problem within our music industry. I do have family in the music industry and a lot of people who are pursuing a career in the music industry. And even at a local level, a lot of people experience just a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions and perceived notions about gender and sex and gender equality in the music industry. So, since the very first sound of music and the birth of the industry, there has always been a misconception, misunderstanding, and underrepresentation of women, transgender, and non binary people in the music industry. Much like everything else, it is widely dominated by white males who identify as heterosexual. So, as we all know, large labels within the music industry who push mainstream artists, create that platform for artists to where they're like mega stars, mega pop stars, are usually ran by older white men who have had their hand in the industry for the past 20, 30, 40 years or so. It's very hard to change their position of power because they've been in it and they remain in it. So they have a lot of control over what the music industry perceives as acceptable and what's not acceptable. Stereotypes, prejudices, and preconceptions. It is impossible to ignore the consciousness that the whole fields of music and the sound art are still oriented according to a paradigm of straight masculinity and its associated qualities and appearances. Generally speaking, the further artists are perceived as deviating from this platform, both by themselves and by others, the larger the role they attribute to gender, sex, and sexuality in their professional life. Female and other gendered artists are often perceived themselves in the professional field as other and feel negative discrimination in their professional lives. This discrimination can take a variety of forms and qualities, such as stereotyping, assumptions, condescension, conscious or unconscious exclusion, and blunt sexualization. The large majority of male participants either perceive no problems of gender discrimination in the field, or they experience these problems as observers rather than being directly affected. Male participants are, however, often confronted with these stereotypical expectations because of their sex, which in some cases leads to defensiveness. According to Wood and Fixmer, or as Chapter 7, the most fundamental requirement for manhood is to not be feminine. An example I want to touch on today is an artist that are making groundbreaking strides to be represented and respected within the music industry, such as the new up and coming artist Lil Nas X. As you can see, he's pictured here on the red carpet at the BET Awards 2021. He has on an open face jacket that is connected to a full length gown. It's pink, it's purple, it's very feminine. He's posing very proudly because he is proud of who he is. He is a new successful emerging artist with his new hit song, Old Town Road, that hit the scene a couple of years ago. I want to say around 2019, 2020. Once he decided to come out and open up about his sexuality, he was faced with discrimination, hateful viewpoints from media outlets, straight male artists, and people who were once fans stating that they will no longer support him just simply due to nothing other than his sexuality. In an interview that Lil Nas X did in Changing America, he opened up about how he felt about the industry's responding to his coming out. He did an interview stating that, and I quote, "The music industry expects artists that are a part of the LGBTQ plus community to sanitize their identities, something that he simply refuses to do. It's always been, okay, if you're gay, this needs to be sanitized. Let's not include anything sexual. It's like be gay without being gay. We don't want to know what happens behind closed doors, or we don't want you to express that. Lil Nas X. So my next question is, what's the difference? Trying to wrap my head around the difference between almost every love song that was created that goes into detail about what happens behind closed doors with the heterosexual relationship, but the industry wants to water down or not let artists express the realities of being a gay, lesbian, or transgender artist and in a relationship. It's not fair, and it's further proving the lack of representation and the lack of support. Women who are competing and fighting for their place in the music industry are also frustrated with their own personal journeys and how men choose to communicate with them and how labels feel they should market themselves in order to be successful, make business moves, and create music. In an interview, the musician Santa Gold speaks on how women have to present themselves in order to be mainstream and successful. So I'll go to that interview right now.
Vogue interview. Okay. You did a recent Vogue interview and you said, I'm going to look at this to get it down right, but you were talking about women in the music industry. And you said, if you want to make it in the music industry, you have to be sexy and people have to want your body. So can you talk to me about the expectations?
I believe that that's the way to make it easily.
Right.
I think that you can definitely make a place for yourself without doing that, but it's an uphill climb. You know, there's always been a little bit of that or a lot of that in culture, not just music business or anything. But right now specifically, I feel like there's a poor representation of all different types of women in music, and particularly in pop music. And I do feel like the most prominent image that we're seeing is of women without a lot of clothes on, like just flaunting like all their assets, you know, physical assets. I'm not like, hide your ass.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be the only thing of every artist that's performing that you're seeing, you know? And I feel like that's where we're at. I feel like women are feeling like that's the main way to like get attention. You know, every time you see like people on the cover of a magazine, they're either naked, almost naked, whatever. I feel like other people who aren't about that should be given a platform as well. Because there are many women who don't feel like that's all they have to offer, or feel like they want to highlight a different aspect of what they're doing. I want to, you know, I don't feel like I want to do that. You know, I want people to like my music and pay attention to my music or my ideas, and my art. And it's not that I'm like against like showing my body, but like, I don't feel like I need to do that to get attention. I don't feel like I want to do that to get attention. I might need to do that to get attention.
When we talk about gender.
So that was artist Santa Gold on the reality of gender equality in the music industry and how she feels it's detrimental to her success as far as how she presents herself in the industry. So in conclusion, representation, inclusion, and equality matters in the music industry. For all genders, from straight women to the non-conforming, non-binary artists. Music is art, and art is subjective. It is ever-changing and constantly evolving, so the industry should as well. Women who are in the industry should be just as much respected as men, and so should gay men, gay women, transgender people, non-binary, non-conforming people as well. If you have art that you want to express, I feel that it's vital that everybody gets that fair chance to express that. And I do feel it is a lot of misrepresentation in the music industry, and it is a lot of room for improvement. So that concludes my position and my stance on gender and sex in the music industry and how it can be improved.